Hey guys, welcome back. Before we get started, go over to Fox Airsoft, take a second and check out their free Airsoft Gun giveaway. It takes a couple seconds to enter. I actually won an Ares M60 myself. I was amazed I won an Airsoft Gun out of a contest. That was a total first for me. So go enter, it takes 2 seconds, and you might win a free Airsoft Gun. Today we're checking out an Airsoft Gun you probably never thought I'd actually try. I was curious. I got it out of a Fox $75 mystery box, and what do you know, I actually really liked it. That was surprising to me too. It's the Walther PPS M2. It's not a terribly expensive gun. They retail about $70. They're kind of like baseline beginner sidearms for airsoft, but this was a lot of fun. It has to be used, I feel like, kind of in the right context to really fully enjoy it, and I'll talk about that more here in a minute. But let me show you the airsoft gun here. This is the Walther PPS M2, and this is actually a USP compact holster. I was surprised to fit in there too. I usually use either a full-sized USP or a compact USP, and so this holster works pretty well for both of them. And I put it in there and I'm like, shoot, it fits. So I just ran this for a day in my USP holster and it worked out just fine. I was very happy. But that note aside, the Walther PPS M2 is kind of a compact pistol. It's very slender. It's not terribly thick at all. It's not even an inch thick. Feels pretty nice. I like the ergonomics. It's got a reasonably rough grip texturing. The grip is a little long for my taste. I've got kind of medium-sized hands, but that's just me being picky as well. The magazine it comes with only holds 15 rounds. Not a lot, and it's one of those stick magazines, so it's a little bit different. Then I mentioned it's CO2 as well, so it takes a CO2 12-gram canister that sits in the grip here. But these are just details. We'll kind of go over everything as we go along here. The gun is pretty well packaged. It's actually got bubble wrap around it when you get it, which is actually a first for me, so it's kind of nice. It doesn't come with a whole lot. It comes with a small Allen key. I believe this is 1.5 millimeters roughly to adjust your hop up. And it comes with a handful of flyers, including the manual, which give enough detail to get you shooting the airsoft gun. This was one of the airsoft guns where I actually had to read the manual because I wasn't really sure how to use it offhand. Never really used an airsoft gun quite like it. Comes with a couple of other cards. Umarex basically telling you send the gun in to them if you have any issues. Some Elite Force advertisement for their BBs. Great BBs. I use them quite a bit myself, and a registration card with the Umarex in case you need to send your airsoft gun in. Now, there are 3 things that do not come with a pistol, namely ammunition. That's kind of a given. You probably are going to have that already. Any BBs that airsoft guns tend to come with are pretty basic. Usually just shoot them, chrono them to make sure the gun works, and that's about it, if that. It does not come with 12-gram CO2 canisters. You can go to any sporting goods store generally and buy those, or any airsoft store. Most, if not all, will have them. Lastly, it does not come with the correct size Allen key to install your CO2. Most do, so I was kind of surprised it didn't, but I believe this is a 6 millimeter Allen key you're going to need to install the CO2 canister into the gun. So if you have an Allen key set on hand, perfect. If not, probably go pick one up. For such an inexpensive gun, being about 70 bucks roughly, I was surprised it actually had all the proper trademarks. It says Walther PPS M2 all over it. It has the correct Walther trademarks and everything. It's mostly on the left side. Once you swap it over though, you've got warnings. This is an airsoft gun. Read your instructions. All the normal warning you're going to see on an airsoft gun. For the most part, the operation of this gun is like the real one. You load your magazine, good to go, pop it in, rack the slide. You'll notice this magazine is empty, so I'm going to drop the slide catch, and the last BB out will lock the slide back. But you probably noticed the slide doesn't go very far back. This is what's called a partial recoil or short stroke recoil. With the slide back like this, you can actually adjust your hop up. Definitely the easiest way to adjust your hop up is simply to lock the slide back and adjust it with the small Allen key port here with your Allen key. Really simple. Turning right is to increase your hop up, left is to decrease. The safety on this guy is actually right on the trigger. So pushing to the left with the knob out to the left, it will fire. And pushing with the knob out to the right will act as a safety. Mag catch is on the left side. It is pretty small and it has a little guard under it, sort of. It's kind of an ergonomic touch, I suppose. So it's a little difficult to press, and it is fairly far forward. I mean, like I said, I've got kind of medium-sized hands, and I'm just able to kind of barely tap it with my thumb there. Loading your magazine is also a little bit different from your traditional airsoft gun. This is your magazine. It's just a single stack, pretty simple. the follower here and where you insert the BBs at the very top. So I'm going to pull the follower all the way down, and it locks here at the very bottom. You just circle it around just a few degrees. And then what I would do is put your finger here and just drop BBs in one by one, and they'll float down here. The gun does use 3-dot sights. Definitely my favorite setup. They are not night sights, they don't glow in the dark, but they are easy to line up and definitely very simple to use to hit your target. Now I would like to talk about the trigger real quick. It's kind of an interesting trigger for an airsoft gun. It feels like it's a real trigger. So I'm going to demonstrate this here. Rack the slide, your gun's ready to shoot. Long take up here. And it is a very clean wall, very crisp wall. Just a slight pull there, and your gun will shoot. But the reset, how does that feel? Pull it, and I'll hold it back, rack it. You can hear that slight click there, and it's ready to go again. So it does only a few millimeter reset, but an extremely long take up. So if you practice this really quick, you can get extremely quick follower shots. Most people are just gonna squish and squish and squish and let go, pull all the way, let go, pull all the way, let go. It's much easier, just practice a little bit. You just expect that slight wall there, and you can get a really fast follow-up shot. For CO2 install on this gun, I actually had to read the instructions. For me, it was not terribly obvious right away. So take the magazine out, push the back portion upward, and it's spring-loaded and it'll just come right off. This is your housing or chamber for your CO2 cartridge. Now you've got your adjustment screw right at the bottom to puncture to the top of it. So I'm going to go ahead and drop one in and take my 6mm Allen key and turn it pretty fast, and you hear it puncture there and seal. Install the back plate again. This little knob goes in the top. It'll just sit there. From there, pop your magazine in, rack the slide, and you're all set to go. The slide on this guy is also metal, gives it a pretty nice weight, and all the internals are metal. So really good weight to it. It's not terribly cheap feeling. It does feel fairly solid. Now let's talk about how I use this gun and how I actually enjoyed the gun so much. I took this out to Nighthawk Airsoft over in Ford, Washington for their zombie night. That was a ton of fun. We started at about 7 o'clock. We really got things rolling about 8 o'clock. By then it was pretty dark, and the whole gist of the game was you're supposed to have either spring guns, shotguns, or gas pistols. So this really fit quite well. Not a whole lot of ammunition, shot under the 350 FPS maximum for that evening, and hey, it was fairly accurate, so I really can't complain. I wish I had a spare magazine for it, but ultimately when I did start using this, I had 0 time to reload because we're shooting zombies. So, of course, just in case I did run out of ammo on this, I had my USP full size on me, which had 20 plus rounds in the magazine. I did not run out of ammo on this because I was infected way too fast by all the zombies. I got rushed. It was a ton of fun. But every single zombie I did shoot up, and thankfully they all called their hits without a problem. I even shot one on the goggles, and he proceeded to complain about it and try and correct me that I shouldn't shoot him in the goggles, but that's what we have goggles for, right? So, it was extremely accurate. Every single zombie I shot at was a hit. Now you guys are probably wondering, what's the effective range on something like this? I was using 2/8 in it, and I was probably getting a nice 75 shot range before they dropped. Didn't really have much of an arc to it with the hop. I don't think the hop can really push the 2/8 or heavier BBs like that terribly well as far as spin goes. But even with 75 feet, I was able to get a handful of kills. All right, ultimately, I have to give this gun a grade. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. I really liked it, a lot more than I thought I would. A couple of things I would change about it. One, the gun needs to have more ammunition. Definitely having 20 or 25 rounds would be a huge asset because being CO2, this thing can shoot a lot of magazines before it runs out of CO2. You're gonna shoot probably 4 or 5 or even 6 mags before you start to run out, or you notice any kind of difference in it. So the fact that I can shoot that many magazines of BBs, I want some spare mags or at least a little more ammo in the magazine. I really wish they would even double stack the mags because I believe these are single stack, and that would just make a lot of sense because they're fairly wide. But that's just my opinion. I think it's a design update they could maybe do in the future. The other thing is to include the Allen key needed for installing CO2. I was kind of surprised they didn't include that, but then again, most players already have a set of Allen keys or tools they can use to do the same thing. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm Prodigy from Kilo 23. Go check this out on foxairsoft.com. It's not terribly expensive, a great way to get into the sport, and it definitely has its place on the airsoft field. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.